When I say the word swamp slime farm, you may think of this, or maybe even this. But I can almost guarantee you've never seen this. Hello everyone, my name is Emdy and welcome to a video I should have made many months ago. This is a video on swamp-based slime farms and will be split into 5 parts. A short history on the same, followed by some important questions that I know some people are confused about. After that, we have showcases of some designs with a comparison of the benefits and drawbacks of each. Then, there will be a build tutorial for a great design by sanedragon. There is a good balance between build effort, rates, and scalability. And finally, there will be an upgrade section so you can improve whatever design you have built so far. Timestamps will be in the description so you can skip to the section you want, but watching the whole video is much appreciated and should clarify a lot of questions you may have. We'll start with the concept itself. Swamp-based slime farms have been possible since version 1.4.2, introducing slimes spawning in swamps. At the time, farming slimes in swamps was not very viable, especially on a large scale, since there was no easy way to get slimes exclusively to spawn. One of the first known designs was released on YouTube by Techman88 on 25th August 2018. It was a simple farm relying on precise positioning of an iron golem's eye levels in order to attract slimes towards a killing chamber, and made a decent amount of slime even when compared to some chunk-based designs. Techman's design was later plagiarized multiple times by various channels bearing the original video as well as other potential design videos, which is an example of why most of the tech community prefers to use archive discords instead of searching through YouTube, but more on that later. On July 11, 2021, ENXO4 released a portal-based looting swamp slime farm in a YouTube video. The use of looting more than doubled the rates compared to a non-looting farm, and hence was a considerable improvement. His design used cats and wolves to filter out other mobs, and a central portal to remove the slimes from the mob cap, as well as transport them to the player. Both Ian's and Techman's designs were designed to be simple and run at night, but would also benefit from the addition of a roof, allowing them to run during the day. Then came the 1.18 update, bringing with it a very important change to the viability of swamp-based slime farm. The spawning changes in 1.18 made it so that most hostile mobs need a light level of 0, also known as complete darkness, to spawn. What didn't change was slime spawning in swamps, which kept the original requirement of light level 7 or lower. This was great news for swamp-based slime farms. One of, if not the first person to make use of this was Soy, aka Soul or Soil. On November 22, 2021, Soy published a simple portal-based swamp slime farm on the Technical Minecraft archive Discord that made over 37,000 slime balls per hour, putting many chunk-based designs to shame. Soy used a combination of portal light and brown mushrooms, which emit a light level of 1 and do not block spawns, to achieve exclusively slime spawns. Combined with a portal elevator and looting, this design was quite the novelty. The developments didn't stop there. Merely 3 weeks later, fellow NubTech members Inspector Boat and sanedragon, whom you may remember from my boat looting video, also took to swamp-based slime farms. Sane went on to release multiple designs over that week, each with their own simplicity to build and output potential. It is a variation on one of these designs that I will actually show how to build later on in this video. There was an issue with these designs, and that was the publicity. Both Sane and Soy published their designs on TME and not many other places, so they remained fairly unknown to the general public. This was no fault of their own, with neither having the time nor motivation to make a video on their designs. This was even before I uploaded my first video, so the option of me making one was out of the question at the time. Although over the next few months, not making a video on it would soon be my biggest regret. Let's see why. On June 3, 2022, Mango released a video claiming a new meta for slime farms, showcasing the result of what he had been working on. This video gained massive popularity since to the general public this was a brand new concept, but to many in the tech community it was already known. The result is that the most popular design for a swamp-based slime farm is the mangoes, since it is pretty much the only one on YouTube and the general public doesn't have much by way of options. And to this day, most people haven't even seen any of the designs by Soy or Sane, which this video will hopefully change. Now let's address some common questions. First up, why should I build a swamp-based design over a slime chunk-based design? The biggest reason would be effort. In most chunk-based designs, you are required to clear out a large area for the farm and an even larger area to make the area outside the farm spawn-proof. The spawn-proofing can be done with light sources, but both are still time and effort intensive. A few designs like Logical Geek Boys reduce the effort needed by using ocean biomes and their terrain benefits, but it's not easy to get high outputs from a farm like this. Another reason would be the slime chunk itself. It is not easy to identify a slime chunk while in the game, and many people do not want to have to use third-party programs and mods to find the correct chunk, so swamp-based designs have an advantage here as well. Any swamp is suitable, and you can find them just by exploring or using a mapping tool if you so choose. If you are purely after rates and are willing to put in the effort, there is nothing better than slice portals at the lowest point in the world in slime chunks to get you your millions of slime balls per hour. But this is definitely an unpopular option, at least outside of tech servers. Swamp-based slime farms have a disadvantage compared to chunk-based in that they are affected by the moon phase, so they don't work at all during new moons, but work very well during full moons, so the rates average out. Some of you may ask, why not build both? Well, the answer is that it doesn't make a lot of sense. Chunk-based slime farms can only be built between Y-64 and Y40, while swamp-based slime farms only work between Y50 and Y70. Putting them one above the other is not advisable at all, because the extra spawning spaces don't have a noticeable effect, and it's really not worth the extra effort. There is also the question of single dimension versus the use of portals. This mainly comes down to your needs and preferences. Single dimension farms are more multiplayer friendly, but they also tend to have lower rates when compared to their portal alternatives. Portal-based farms have the advantage of low mob lifetimes, the option of player looting, and overall higher rates, with the disadvantages of being a little trickier to set up, but if you follow the instructions for portal linking, you shouldn't have much of an issue. In multiplayer with other people in the Nether more than 128 blocks away from your farm, going through the portal will cause all the slime to instantly despawn, and sadly you can't even counteract this well with boats, because large slime don't fit in boats. You would need a second player or bot to AFK on the Nether side if you plan to run this with multiple people online and in the Nether. With a couple of designs I will show later, there is the use of snow golems instead of iron golem based luring, and this can be favorable if you don't have an iron farm. Another important topic is glow lichen or other low light level sources versus the use of brown mushrooms. Mushrooms are more annoying to get and need to be placed on full blocks, but have the upside of having the best chance for spawning. Lichen or similar blocks are easier to get and are more flexible with their placement, but have slightly less favorable spawning conditions for slime, given their higher light level, although in most situations this doesn't matter all that much. Lastly, let's look at the add-ons to the farm, namely boat looting and witherose farming. When running a scaled up slime farm with a portal elevator and looting, you will quickly hit mob cap, which will cut into your rates. To reduce this, you can employ my boat looting setup, which takes the slime out of the mob cap as soon as they come back from the Nether, leaving more space in the cap for new slimes to spawn. The second addition is more of a trade-off. You sacrifice the looting benefit and the portal elevator in favor of withers as the method to kill the slimes, and hence turn your slime farm into a witherose farm as well, similar to the current setup we have had on the NubTech SMP for a long time. Before we start with the showcases, I just want to state that the drawbacks in the designs that I will list are not the fault of the designer. Some of these features were either not available at the time or dismissed for design principles. I have an upgrade segment in this video which goes over how to overcome these minor flaws, so you can get the best out of however much effort you are willing to put in. But that doesn't mean the base design is bad, but can be thought of as first steps. Let's start off with the most basic and temporary farm you can make. There is no video on this, so I'll quickly give the setup instructions. Find a flat area in a swamp and using the F3 screen, make sure it is lower than Y70. Then mark the center and run around placing glow lichens spaced out roughly 5 blocks apart so no spot is light level 0 for a 20 block radius, being careful of hilly terrain. In the middle, place 8 fences and summon an iron golem in the middle like so. Pillar up 127 blocks, so 2 stacks of blocks, and just drop down 1 at the top. And stand right above the iron golem at night. In the morning, you go down and collect the drops, and can repeat this as needed or remove it when finished. Next up, Techman88's design. The main things holding this design back are the unfiltered spawning and old luring methods, but this is easy to upgrade. Moving on to ENXO4's slime farm. The portal elevator allows for more raids, but you need the upgrades from the Discord to get the most out of it. Let's now look at Soy's design. This is already a pretty solid choice, but minor improvements can be made. Now let's see El Mango's design. The first is a simple starter design that focuses more on simplicity than raids. The second is probably one of the best single dimension designs, since most people prefer to use portals to get good raids. Finally, we check out Sanedragon's design. First, we have a solid starter farm that is pretty efficient given the cost. The second is an optimized portal-based design which operates just under mob cap. Finally, we have the snow golem design that is trivial to tile and scale up to crazy raids, but has higher entity counts than most other designs. Now that we've seen all those designs, it's up to you to pick the one you prefer, based on which pros and cons are favorable to you. I will leave links to Lightmatics or videos of all the designs showcased in the description, but there will only be one build tutorial by me in this video. If you wish to build the other designs, I do urge you to watch the upgrade segment, which starts at the time you see on screen here. But some of those upgrades feature in this design, so for setup details you can refer to this tutorial. With that out of the way, let's get building. Disclaimer: this is not intended to be a beginner farm, but more for mid to end game. For starter designs, you can choose from one of the options in the description, and let me know with a comment if you'd like a build tutorial for one if it doesn't already exist, and I can put one on my second channel. To build one module of the spawning platforms, you will need the following materials. If you're building multiple modules, the glass, obsidian, and roof slabs don't multiply directly, since parts are shared between modules, so just approximate those. There are 2 nether sides depending on how many modules you build. If it's 1 or 2, you can build the ENXO4 style elevator, but for anything higher, building the advanced elevator is required. When you have the advanced elevator, you'll also need the boat looting setup in the Overworld. And these are the materials for the optional box loaders. To start, locate a decent sized swamp or mangrove swamp biome that is relatively low and flat. Depending on what you find convenient, you can pick an area with water or land. When you have the location you want to build your farm, clear out a 25 by 25 area down till your feet are at Y43. 1 block from the corners, place a block and then 21 obsidian and another block. Turn in and repeat this to form a square that should be 1 block away from the wall on every side. Complete the portals by pillaring up 3 on the corners with obsidian and cap with a block, then join the tops with obsidian. On the inside, fill in blocks going 3 blocks in from the frame. Then go in 1 more but fill in the square a block higher and then continue the square 3 blocks higher, forming a wall. Light the portals and then fill in water against the inner wall like so. All the way around. On top of the portals, build up a wall of non-conductive blocks that have a solid face 23 blocks up. Jump down into the water, then make your way up to the inner wall and pillar up 3 temporary blocks. Place a slab against the top half of the block, then remove the temporary blocks. Fill in the floor following the edge of the inner wall. Find the center by counting 8 blocks from the 2 edges. Mark this by replacing the slab with the full block and place glow lichen on top. Then surround the lichen with trapdoors and open them so they enclose the middle. Place 2 temporary blocks above one of the trapdoors and summon 4 snow golems like so. Then place a block and remove the temporary blocks. Now go to the left side of the edge of the platform and count 4 blocks. Look ahead and place a glow lichen on the wall, and one on the right of it. Then leave a 5 block gap and place another lichen. Repeat this on every side. That's one platform done. If you have the mini HUD mod, you can double check for lighting errors if you turn on your light level overlay. Now for the remaining layers, you can follow the exact same steps. Pillar up 3 temporary blocks, place the slab, etc. Build up 6 more layers after the first one, and the last one will have you standing at Y69. Now to finish the farm, simply fill in the roof. To do this, head up to the outer wall and place bottom slabs all the way around, then fill in the center. Now go out 10 blocks on each side and extend the roof to that length on each side. Then connect the rectangles with diagonals like so and fill those in too. Before we build the nether side, we have to pick the killing chamber spot such that it is not above the spawning platforms. So for one module, pick a corner, and for multiple modules, pick an obsidian block that is close to the center of the farm and make a note of these coordinates. Head to the nether, and if you generated a portal, make sure to break it. Then head to the roof. Divide the X and Z coordinates you took down earlier and find the position on the roof that matches the new coordinates. For 1 or 2 modules, this is what you do. Pillar up to Y160 and build another portal. And encase it in blocks, leaving 4x1 gaps on either side of the portal. Place signs like so. Light the portal and put lava on the signs. Go through the portal and head back to the spot you picked before. Pillar up to Y168 and build a smaller 4x6 platform. Go up 2 blocks and build a portal. Then put fences on one side and on the other make a 2x2 drop tube and continue it down 2 blocks. Now place slabs at the bottom and a double chest with hoppers pointing into it, or any storage of your choice, but keep in mind it has to be double hopper speed. Put trapdoors under the obsidian and the killing platform is done. You may even have some slimes come through immediately. For more than 2 modules instead of a regular portal, at Y150 from the coordinates you calculated earlier, make a platform by going out 3 blocks from the center on 2 sides and 11 on the other 2. Then fill it all in. In the middle, place a line of blocks and then make a 7x6 obsidian frame and light it. Then put trapdoors a block above the bottom and flip them open. Using temporary blocks, make a grid of 10 blocks on each side, 1 block apart from each other. At the end of each side, place a scaffolding wall 3 high and put top slabs behind them. On top of the slabs, build a 7x5 obsidian frame. Add top slabs on the outside and a line of blocks above. On that line, make an enclosure with blocks and place a lava source in the corner after lighting the portal. Going down to the bottom, build up walls all the way up to the tops of the obsidian frames on the sides. Fill in the roof and spawn-proof the obsidian. Back inside, leave a gap above the scaffolding and add strips of blocks to meet the roof. Also put 2 lines of blocks from the roof towards the center, and add 3 lines of chains starting from in front of the scaffolding and leaving the corner where you put a lava source. Repeat this on the other side. Finally, going below the elevator, bridge to the long side till you are no longer under any block, and then jump and place a block below you. Place a temporary block surrounded with fences and build an iron T. Put a top trapdoor above. Remove the temporary blocks and place the carved pumpkin. Above the trapdoor, do the same. Add the fences and summon the iron golem as before. To double check, the golem's eyes should be at the same level as the slabs. Repeat this on the other side and the elevator is complete. Back in the overworld, depending on how many modules you've made, you need to pillar up to a certain height. You can see these on screen now. Once you're at the right height and have made a small 4x4 platform, build a portal in the floor 2 blocks away from your AFK spot in the same direction as the portals below, but do not light it. Below the platform, place 2 walls in line with the obsidian. Going back up, place 4 fences like so and remove this 2x4 area. To the side of the wall, go a block above the fences and place a sideways dispenser with a waterlogged block diagonally below. This can be leaves or stairs depending on the version. Put a hopper in the back and a chest above with 20 boats in it. Place 2 temporary fences like so, with pistons behind them, and a temporary block here. Now place a lever on the dispenser and spam it till all the boats are dispensed. Then activate the pistons in this order to push the boats into the temporary block, and remove the waterlogged block after removing the water to let them fall in. Repeat this, but mirrored on the other side. Now push in blocks above the walls and fill in the rest with powder snow or top trapdoors. Now behind the portal, unlike the regular setup, place bottom slabs here and go up 2 blocks behind and make a temporary platform. Place a large amethyst bud against the side here. Place a boat and ride it into the bud. Then get a mob into this boat, a chicken or 2 being the easiest option, and then use a piston to push it into place. Then use pistons to push bottom slabs into it from above. Repeat this a second time, but this time push trapdoors into the boat like so. Now move the setup up a block. Remove the obsidian temporarily and place temporary blocks like so with a trapdoor here. Repeat the alignment, but now push the boat all the way into these blocks and carefully remove the trapdoor to drop it in. Fix the portal, encase the back, and then light the portal and put 6 open trapdoors in front, pushing them down as well to cover everything. Finally, put a fence here and then place an armor stand and sprint hit it into the corner. Now for storage, you can simply collect all the items in a water stream, align them, and then run them over some shulker box loaders. I recommend these filtered 6x loaders by the members of Aleph SMP, whose names you can see here, and I'll quickly show you how to make it. I won't commentate over this, but I will go slowly so it's easy to follow. This is the way to set up the filters. If you don't have enough to fill it up, you can run the farm for a while to get enough. These are tiled according to your farm output, but the general rule of thumb is you would need one loader for every 2 to 3 modules of the farm. So with 20 modules, for example, 8 loaders would be expected, but since the rates don't scale linearly, even 6 loaders would be enough. You calculate the loaders you would need based on the full moon rates, not the average, and keep in mind that one 6x loader can handle 54,000 items per hour. Let's now look at some upgrades you can make to an existing farm, or even some of the designs shown in this video. Designs that work by mob filtering can have all the things like eye line blockers and scaring mobs be removed in favor of proper lighting. There's 2 ways to do the lighting. The first is placing brown mushrooms on every block in the farm that is light level 0. If you have a portal, then you can skip the blocks that are lit by the portal. The other way is using low light level blocks which don't have a collision. Glow lichen is the best option for this. If you use the mini HUD mod, you can turn on the light level overlay to see which blocks are light level 0 and place a light source a suitable distance away to keep all the light levels as low as possible. If you don't use mini HUD, then you can also see the light level of the block you are in with the F3 debug screen, but this is slower and tedious. You can also potentially eyeball the placement and not worry about it being perfect, but you have to make sure there are no fully dark spots. The placement will vary depending on the farm layout, but do keep in mind that light drops a level per block traveled, so it lights up diamond shapes. If you have a farm that only works at night, you can make it run throughout the day by adding a roof that extends 15 blocks further than the area of the spawning platforms. The roof has to have a clearance of at least 2.5 blocks to allow slime spawning, and slabs are recommended because they are cheap and non-spawnable if placed as the bottom variant. If you only have 1 or 2 spawning platforms, there is also the option of adding multiple spawning platforms in the form of layers. Keep in mind that there are height restrictions for swamp-based farms, so the lowest spawning platform will have you standing at Y51, which you can check with F3. And the highest spawning block will have you standing at Y69. You can squeeze in another layer by using slab floors, so the clearance between layers is 2.5 blocks, but you lose the ability to place brown mushrooms if you do so. Next, we have portals and portal elevators. This is a pretty simple addition and usually just involves surrounding the iron golems with portals and having an automatic kill chamber in the Nether. This gives lower lifetimes and comparatively higher rates, but can be a bit inconvenient depending on your multiplayer situation. Portal elevators are also interesting. Using this basic one by ENXO4, large and medium slimes that come through the portal clip into the lava, and the slimes that come from the breakdown teleport back to the overworld and end up at the kill chamber, where the player AFK is swinging a looting sword. To learn how to set this up, you can check out Ian's video or the build tutorial section earlier. For farms with higher outputs, however, a more elaborate elevator is needed, which was shown in the build tutorial at this time. If iron golems aren't favorable, or you want something fun, you can also use snow golems and have knockback based platforms instead of lowering. This is best accompanied with portals as it's a large area to collect and kill the slimes. Finally, one of the bigger upgrades for high output farms is the use of a boat looting setup. This lets us handle large amounts of tiny slimes without them hogging up the mob cap. This isn't needed for single module farms, but when you upscale, it is a noticeable improvement. As with the elevator, you can find the setup info at this time or in my video on boat looting as a concept. That will be all for this video. If you liked it, please help me out by liking, commenting and sharing it to give it a bit of an algorithm boost. I put over 100 hours into this video and I want it to do well. I want to give big shoutouts to all the designers showcased in this video like ENXO4, Techman88, sanedragon, Soy, and Lil Mango, as well as everyone who helped me with this video readily giving feedback on sections. Any further questions or help requests are best asked on the NubTech Discord server, but be sure to read the description and pinned comment before asking anything. With all that done, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!